warm round of applause for our first speaker.
That's our road. Yeah.
Road 3. This is no fairy tale and no joke. The meat will be shoveled into your carts, and the man shoveling the food in there will not trouble to lift out a rat even if he saw one. Upton Sinclair wrote that in his book, The Jungle, in the early 1900s. When he wrote that about the meatpacking industries, the whole public was alarmed by this whole presentation he did on how unsanitary and how unclean they were about everything. So even though it was early 1900s, the same similar work environment still exists, especially with the sanitation techniques. The meatpacking industries aren't regulated often. So if they have contaminated meats going out to the public, to the grocery stores or restaurants, it is their option if they want to recall it or not, or if they want to tell the public where it is, or if they're even recalling it. All they have to say is, oh yeah, we're recalling 300 tons of ground beef. That's it. They don't tell us anything else other than that. Eric Schlosser in Fascination lets us know how salmonella causes 1.4 million illnesses every year and 500 deaths annually. With such a high rate of illnesses and deaths, it is kind of alarming to know why, or to see how come the federal government doesn't have more power over these meatpacking industries. Why can't they tell them, oh, you have to recall it, you have to tell the public where it is when they have contaminated meat? The federal government should make the meatpacking industry recall any unsanitary meat, as well as announce the detailed whereabouts to the public. Today, my problem will be how the meatpacking industries do not have to tell us about the contaminated meat or their recall on it either. My cause would be that we're the ones that consume the meat, and the effect is how it causes illnesses and deaths throughout the nation. Our action will be to alarm the public. Here I have my board about the problem. Eric Schlosser from Fascination also states that the U.S. cannot demand a meatpacking industry to remove contaminated meat from their factories, from the grocery stores, or from a restaurant. They have no power to do so, and that is also connected to because the meatpacking industries donate large sums of money to the Republican Party around a certain time of year, so that's how they get their political power. And that's how come the federal government doesn't have so much say into what they do. In a Milwaukee case, there was a case on a monitoring factory that happened. What happened was that they were cited 26 times over 10 months as to why they were not clean or they didn't provide a safe work environment for the employees either. The government wasn't allowed to take action on any of the citations until a death actually happened due to one of those problems. Michael Shortshirt, a retired federal inspector, said they're going to have to kill someone before anything else gets done. Karen Olson also states that in her book, The Shame on Meatpacking, 800 workers strike the crooked work ethics and unsanitation, and because of that, the main problem is that they increase the speed of the assembly lines, and now they slaughter 400 cattle within an hour. And think about it: if they're slaughtering 400 cattle an hour, just one person, or two if you have a partner, how clean can the cattle be? They only have a couple seconds to remove the fecal matter, only a couple seconds to remove the intestines. They don't have a long time, so how does it to keep it so clean? Right here, I have my cause and my effects. My cause is how the meat that we're getting is contaminated, and it's affecting us. It's affecting all of us. So right here in my poster board, I also show how right here the food, which is contaminated, reaches our body. Contaminated meat reaches the public, restaurants, and grocery stores. Before we know it, we have it all over the nation. The high profits from the meatpacking corporations also has the workers be scrutinized into keeping the summer lunch even faster, which keeps the cycle going even longer. In December 2nd, 2010, OSHA cited Texas plant $61,000 for unsanitary environment, and in the New York Times stated how a 6-year-old Alex Donnelly died after 4 days of eating a Jack in the Box burger. His family originally wanted to donate his organs once they knew he was going to pass away, but because the pathogens destroyed his whole body, they were only allowed to donate his corneas. And at the end of his sickness, he was suffering from severe hallucinations and dementia. He wasn't even allowed to recognize his own mother or father. And then at the end, the scientists also found, and the doctors and scientists also found, that that his brain had been liquefied as well. So this is a very serious matter. E. coli, salmonella, diseases like that are not to be underestimated, because if they reach you, it will be bad. Lastly, I have my problem. My plan of action. I say that we need to alarm the public, because as long as the public doesn't know that this problem is happening, then we can't do anything about it. Because realistically speaking, it's not like we're going to be able to talk to the Maine state legislature at some perfect date to talk to them about this matter. It's going to take a long time, and matters of strikes and petitions are just making this problem aware to the public. The fact that they're bribing the fact that they're also donating to the Republican Party shows bribery, and that is not right. We have our freedom of speech, and we should also speak against that. The Obama administration has tried and failed to make very specific and very hard regulations on the meatpacking industries in order for them to even be able to send out the meat. But they keep on being denied by the Republican Party as well, and that's why he hasn't been able to take any further action. We need to make this matter first page news so the federal government can take power by public force. In conclusion, we have gone over the problem, which is how the federal government doesn't have any say whether or not the meatpacking industry should recall the contaminated meat by force or not. The cause is how it reaches our nation and how it affects each and every one of us, and many kids have been affected by it. The effect is how it causes so many illnesses and deaths around the nation, and how this is a very serious matter. And our solution is to strike and encourage the federal government to have more control over this industry, because it is out of hand. Thank you.